Good evening, my dear friends. It's a joy to be with you again. How many of you carry the weight of yesterday? A harsh word spoken, a missed opportunity, a moment you wish you could take back. I see some of you nodding. Well, tonight, I'm going to show you how to rewrite your past. Not with a pen, not with words spoken aloud, but with your imagination. We've talked about imagination creating reality, assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, living in a new state of consciousness, feeling the reality of your desires, and resting in that feeling. But what about the past? What about those moments that haunt you, that seem to hold you back? I say to you, the past is not fixed. It's not carved in stone. The past lives in your imagination, and because it lives there, you can revise it. You can change its effect on your life. And in doing so, you can change your present and your future. The Bible tells us in the book of Revelation, "Behold, I make all things new." Now, I'm not here to preach theology. I'm here to show you the deeper truth of these words. To make all things new means you have the power to revise anything in your consciousness. When you revise the past, you're not changing history in the literal sense. No one will rewrite the newspapers. But you're changing the emotional weight of that past, the meaning it holds for you. And when you change that, you change the way it affects your life now. Let me tell you a story to make this clear. Some years ago, a man came to me after a bitter argument with his brother. They'd had a falling out over money, and harsh words were exchanged, words that cut deep. The man said to me, "Neville, I can't stop thinking about it. I feel guilty, angry, and every time I see my brother, it's there between us." I told him, "Revise it." He looked at me like I was mad. "Revise it?" he said. "How can I revise something that's already happened?" I said, "It's happened in the outer world, yes, but it lives in your imagination now. Revise it there." I told him to imagine that conversation going differently, to imagine sitting down with his brother, talking calmly, understanding each other, ending with laughter and a handshake instead of anger and separation. I told him to feel the relief of that new scene, to hear his brother say, "I'm glad we worked this out," to feel the warmth of reconciliation, not as a wish, but as though it had really happened that way. I said, "Do this tonight, and every time the old memory comes up, replace it with the new one." He did as I suggested. Night after night, he revised that argument in his imagination. He felt the new scene as real, the laughter, the handshake, the peace between them. And within a week, his brother called him out of the blue. They met, they talked, and though they didn't speak of the argument directly, the brother apologized for his part in their tension, and they reconciled. Why? Because the man revised the past in his consciousness. He changed the emotional tone of that memory, and the outer world reflected it. Do you see what I'm telling you? The past is not a chain that binds you unless you let it be. It's a story you tell yourself in your mind, and you have the power to rewrite that story. When you revise a painful memory, you free yourself from its hold. You release the guilt, the anger, the regret, and in doing so, you open the door for new possibilities in your present and future. Let me give you another example. A woman once wrote to me about a failure in her career. She had lost a big opportunity years ago, a job she desperately wanted, and it had shaken her confidence. She said, "Neville, every time I try something new, that failure haunts me. I feel like I'm doomed to repeat it." I told her, "Revise it." I told her to imagine that moment going differently, to imagine herself getting the job, feeling the pride of success, hearing her boss say, "You're the best person for this role." I told her to feel the joy of that success as though it had happened, and to dwell in that new memory whenever the old one surfaced. She did as I suggested. She revised that failure in her imagination, night after night. She felt the reality of success instead of the sting of rejection. And over time, her confidence returned. Opportunities started coming her way, not because the past had literally changed, but because she had changed how it lived in her. She stopped seeing herself as a failure and started seeing herself as a success, and the world reflected that new state back to her. Revision is one of the most powerful tools you have in your imagination. It's not just about healing old wounds, though it does that beautifully. It's about reshaping your entire story. If something in your past makes you feel unworthy, revise it. If something makes you feel unloved, revise it. If something makes you feel small, revise it. Imagine it as you wish it had been, and feel the reality of that new version. The more you dwell in the revised scene, the more it becomes your truth. Now, how do you apply this in your own life? It's simple, but it takes persistence. Here's what I want you to do tonight. Think of a moment in your past that troubles you. It could be something big, a loss, a betrayal, or something small, a harsh word, a missed chance. Choose one moment. Don't let your mind race through all your regrets. Just pick one. Now imagine that moment as you wish it had been. If it was an argument, imagine it ending in understanding and love. If it was a failure, imagine it as a success. If it was a moment of loneliness, imagine it filled with connection. Build the scene in your mind. See it, hear it, feel it. Feel the relief, the joy, the peace of it going the way you want it. Don't just think about it. Live it in your imagination as though it really happened that way. And then whenever the old memory comes up, replace it with the new one. Don't fight the old memory. Just gently shift to the revised version. Dwell in that new scene. Feel its reality. The more you do this, the more the emotional weight of the past will lift. And as it lifts, you'll see changes in your present, new opportunities, new relationships, new feelings of freedom. Revision is not about denying what happened in the outer world. It's about changing what it means to you. It's about taking back your power. The past only has the power you give it. So give it a new story. A story of love, of success, of joy. Revise it and watch how it reshapes your life. Go home tonight and try this. Choose your moment. Rewrite it in your imagination and feel the new reality. When we meet again, I want to hear how your past has lost its hold on you. I want to hear how your present has opened up with new possibilities. Until then, my dear ones, free yourself from the chains of yesterday. Rewrite your story and step into a new tomorrow. Good night.